सर।
गेटिंग को समझना है। देखो हमारा जो ब्रेन है वो प्रायोरिटाइज करता है रेलेवेंट इंफॉर्मेशन, बिकॉज यू हैव समथिंग कॉल्ड अ सर्वाइवल इंस्टिंक्ट। तो आपके सर्वाइवल के लिए जो इंफॉर्मेशन इंपॉर्टेंट है वो आप कभी नहीं भूलोगे। जैसे आपके मम्मी का फोन नंबर या आपके फादर का इंफॉर्मेशन, यू विल नेवर फॉरगेट दैट बिकॉज दैट्स इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर यू, राइट? योर ब्रेन विल डू अडैप्टिव फॉरगेटिंग। इट विल रिमूव द नॉइज एंड इट विल वांट टू इंप्रूव क्लैरिटी। जो चीजें आपको क्लैरिटी से बताई जाएंगी वो आपको हमेशा याद रहेंगी, बट द थिंग्स दैट यू रीड इन अ हैपहाज़र्ड मैनर वो जनरली हमें याद नहीं रहती, एंड मेमोरी कंसोलिडेट्स ओवर टाइम। देयर आर ट्रेसेस जो हमारा ब्रेन स्ट्रेंथन करता है। इन ट्रेसेस का क्या मतलब है? इफ यू लुक एट न्यूरोसाइंस आल्सो यू विल अंडरस्टैंड कि जब भी हम कोई टॉपिक याद करने की कोशिश करते हैं, यू वुड हैव आल्सो नोटिस्ड कि आपको जनरली किसी एक वर्ड से या किसी एक डायग्राम से या किसी एक पर्टिकुलर फ्लो चार्ट से आपको ज्यादा याद आता है। दैट इज द ट्रेस दैट योर ब्रेन इज लुकिंग एट। Now in this video we'll learn कि उन traces को बढ़ाना कैसे है. How do we increase those traces? How do we increase these traces in our brain so that our memory actually consolidates over time, right? अब this is a very famous curve. Psychology के students को पता होगा. It's called the forgetting curve and इसके जो results हैं वो काफी shocking है हमारे लिए अगर हम इसको ध्यान से देखें. जैसे मान लो मैंने अभी कुछ पढ़ा, जैसे मैंने आपको अभी immediately बताया कि यार there is adaptive forgetting. Your memory consolidates with traces. राइट? मेमोरी की कंसोलिडेशन होती है और अभी आपके पास 100% इंफॉर्मेशन है, राइट? Within 20 minutes this information will come down to 60%. That is how quickly our brain forgets, right? शायद 20 मिनट इस वीडियो को देखने के बाद, और मोस्ट लोग तो एंड तक देखेंगे भी नहीं because they're not serious about the way they're studying, but if you are, congratulations to you. 4 मिनट हो चुके हैं. अगर आप अभी तक रुके हैं तो please watch it till the end because you're actually serious about understanding how you can make your studying better. ठीक है? 20 मिनट में 60% हमारी इंफॉर्मेशन रह जाती है और अगर हम इसे वन डे पे देखें तो एट वन डे यू वुड सी इट समवेयर अराउंड 30 to 40%. देयर इज अ ह्यूज डिप इन व्हाटएवर वी रिमेंबर एट वन डे. तो अगर आप देखो ये इमीडिएटली आफ्टर वी फिनिश रीडिंग एक बहुत मेजर डिप आता है और हम 40% इंफॉर्मेशन लूज कर देते हैं और फिर विद इन द स्पैन ऑफ वन डे वी लूज अराउंड 30% मोर इंफॉर्मेशन. यहाँ पे 30% और लॉस हो जाता है. तो पहले ही दिन में हम 70% भूल जाते हैं और हमारा नॉर्मल ब्रेन है. अब अगर आप इस वन डे से वन वीक तक का टाइम काउंट करो तो यहाँ पर भी आपको एक डिप दिखेगा एंड दैट डिप इज अराउंड 10%. और फिर वन मंथ पे देखो तो फर्दर एक डिप दिखेगा. तो देयर आर टाइम पीरियड्स वेयर योर ब्रेन विल स्टॉप memory and you will start forgetting very quickly. तो इन चीजों को याद करते हुए we have to understand कि हमें अपनी memory better कैसे करनी है, right? अब if we have to rejuvenate our remembering power, if we have to ensure कि हमारी memory better हो, we learn better, there is a technique behind it. देखो ये एक skill है, right? Learning is itself a skill. You are not innately born with it, right? ऐसा नहीं है कि सब लोगों की पढ़ने की capacity सेम है. हमें ये चीज दिखती है कई लोग बहुत जल्दी पढ़ लेते हैं और उनको सब याद रहता है, और कई लोग बहुत टाइम तक पढ़ते रहते हैं और कुछ याद नहीं होता, बट वी डोंट नो हाउ दिस स्किल वर्क्स। तो इस वीडियो में नाउ थ्रू अ लाइव डेमोंस्ट्रेशन लेट मी फर्स्ट टेल यू हाउ आई लर्न। अगर मुझे कोई भी टॉपिक लर्न करना है तो मैं कैसे लर्न करता हूं, मैं आपको करके दिखाता हूं, एंड प्लीज डू दिस एक्सरसाइज विद मी, राइट? हार्डली 10 मिनट्स लगेंगे, मेरे साथ ये एक्सरसाइज करो एंड ट्राई टू लर्न विद मी। लेट्स स्टार्ट। अब नाउ दिस इज अ चैप्टर ऑफ दिस ईयर्स इकोनॉमिक सर्वे, ठीक है? मेरे स्टूडेंट्स थोड़े से खफा होंगे क्योंकि मैं बार बार इकोनॉमिक सर्वे का एग्जांपल देता हूं, बट ठीक है, ट्राई करते हैं, राइट? इस चैप्टर में वी विल जस्ट रीड वन पैराग्राफ। ये जो टॉप पे पैराग्राफ आपको दिख रहा है, हम बस ये वाला चैप्टर का ये वाला पैराग्राफ रीड करेंगे, वी विल नॉट रीड एनीथिंग अदर देन दिस, ओके? जस्ट दिस पैराग्राफ। तो मैं पैराग्राफ यहां कर देता हूं एंड लेट्स रीड। आप मेरे साथ रीड करो, ठीक है? if you want better results, actually you should pause this video and read this by yourself and then see how you understand or how much you actually learn, और फिर मैं आपको बताता हूँ कि जब मैं ये पढ़ता हूँ तो मैं कैसे करता हूँ। A better student would have
Looking ahead, India economic prospects for the 5 years financial years 26 are balanced, and headwinds to grow include the elevated geopolitical and trade uncertainties and possible commodities price shocks domestically, and the translations of order books of a private capital goods sector in a sustained investment pickup and improvement in a consumer confidence, and a corporate wage pickup will be key to the promoting growth and rural demand backed by the rebound in agriculture production and anticipated easing of food inflation and stable macroeconomic environment provided an upside to the near-term growth. And overall, India will need to improve its global competitiveness and through grassroots level structural reforms, deregulation to reinforce its medium-term growth potential.
actually pause the video and read it, but ठीक है, मैं साथ में read करता हूँ। Looking ahead, India's economic prospects for FY26 are balanced. अब मैंने ये एक लाइन पढ़ी, दो तीन प्रिंसिपल्स मैं आपको पहले ही बता देता हूँ। लर्निंग फर्स्टली इज अ स्लो प्रोसेस, ठीक है? टाइम लगता है किसी भी चीज को याद करने में, जल्दी नहीं है। अगर आप जल्दी में हो, डोंट ट्राई टू रिमेंबर, इट इज गोइंग टू बी अ स्लो प्रोसेस, इट इज गोइंग टू टेक टाइम, इट इज गोइंग टू टेक एफर्ट, बट हाँ, आपको लंबे टाइम तक जरूर याद हो जाएगा। दैट इज माई
good. Let us start then. क्या शुरू करना है? Ocean circulations. चलिए start. Ocean circulations में first is current, फिर waves, फिर tides. So we are starting with ocean currents. Three types of oceanic movement. One is ocean currents, waves, and tides. So current first. What is a current? Flow in unidirectional manner. तो करंट को डिफाइन ही एक डायरेक्शन एक ही कीवर्ड से करेंगे, दैट विल बी यूनिडायरेक्शनल और फिक्स्ड डायरेक्शन. एंड सेकंड टर्म दैट विल बी कीवर्ड हियर विल बी लॉन्ग डिस्टेंस. अब वही वाटर मासेस जब बहुत they travel for a long distance in a fixed direction, they are called as ocean currents. So currents को जब define करें तो there will be two types of currents. One is the current that we are clear about it. Maybe some of us know that very well, is surface current. And second type of currents will be deep ocean currents. Now deep ocean currents will be very random in their distribution. Surface currents में कुछ pattern दिखेगा आपको. Why? Because they are almost parallel to the speed of or direction of winds. Whichever direction winds blow, the primary condition will be the direction of the wind. Ocean currents or surface current move in the same directions. तो ocean deep currents के बारे में ज़्यादा हमें information नहीं है. तो water masses circulation is basically deep ocean currents. So surface currents, we mentioned this by two things. One is long distance and a fixed direction, that is a specific direction, there's a fairly constant direction. But what is moving in a long distance and specific direction will be water masses. अभी हमने water masses detail में नहीं पढ़ा, but if I have to make one word explanation of water masses, they will be same as air masses in atmosphere. Movement of air masses carried by winds, यहाँ पर wind direction, winds will carry these water masses. See, definition of water masses तो हम बाद में पढ़ेंगे. हम कहते हैं कि water masses will be are those zones of oceans where all the features remain constant. Temperature remains constant, salinity remains constant. But exactly ऐसा होता नहीं है. Exactly अगर आप देखें तो water masses में हर एक जगह constant conditions नहीं होती. That will be different. But fairly constant conditions that can be called as water masses. Water masses, yes. So temperature remains constant, salinity remains constant. But exactly ऐसा होता नहीं है. Exactly अगर आप देखें तो water masses में हर एक जगह constant conditions नहीं होगी. That will be different. But fairly constant conditions that can be called as water masses. Water masses, yeah, surface currents. If I go with a depth, they will be somewhere around like 100 meters of depth. And they move with a velocity of like maximum velocity of 2 to 5 kilometers per hour. Although speed इससे भी कम होगा. It will be moving somewhere like 30-40 kilometers in a day, somewhere 25 kilometers in a day. Very slow, very gradual movement of ocean currents. अगर हम oceans में हैं, तो हमें current का direction दिखेगा नहीं. So if you are navigating, yes, ocean currents will push us in a particular direction. So navigation will be affected by ocean currents, but हम देखना चाहें उनको तो ऐसा नहीं दिखेगा कि water movement एक direction में flow कर रहा है. We visualize them as streams of oceans. So imagine करिए 100 meters depth of water moving at whatever speed they are moving. Can you imagine the volume that the ocean currents carry? मान लीजिए एक ocean current जो equator से eastern part of ocean से western part of ocean की तरफ जा रहा है. It will be carrying huge volume. It will gather a lot of volume on the way. The volume is like huge. Like we say like 75 million cubic kilometers, 100 million cubic kilometers. सबसे कम volume जो होगा that will be like 25 million cubic kilometers. तो Amazon जैसे river तो खो जाएंगे उसमें. Right? Yes, we do consider them as streams flowing on the surface of ocean. लेकिन जब उनका real volume देखते हैं, आप तो massive volume they flow. That is why ocean currents become so determining factor for climatic conditions. तो चलिए आगे चलते हैं और we'll after having basic introduction of ocean currents, we'll be focusing on factors that influence ocean currents. Factors में categorize करें तो there will be atmosphere plays a very significant role. Winds किसका part है? Atmospheric condition, temperature, atmospheric pressure. So there are factors which are related to atmosphere. We call them as atmospheric factors. And the most significant atmospheric factor will be wind. Atmospheric pressure भी. क्योंकि जहाँ जहाँ atmospheric pressure ज़्यादा है, दबाव ज़्यादा है, तो वहाँ movement easy नहीं होगा. That's why you'll find the mobility of ocean currents more in equatorial areas. You'll find more in subpolar areas because of low pressure conditions. There are factors related to Earth-related factors, as in Coriolis force, rotation of Earth, gravity direct तो नहीं, indirect factor तो जरूर रहेगा. Third will be factors which are confined to oceans, oceanic factors like salinity, like temperature, ocean bottom topography. ये सभी factors ocean currents को affect करेंगे. So we'll categorize them. और I'm sure ऐसा कोई भी factor नहीं होगा जो आपके लिए नया होगा, except for Ekman bumping, which is a combination of Coriolis force and the effect of winds. Otherwise, there is no problem in understanding these factors. सबको ये factors पता होंगे. So one by one we'll be discussing these factors, atmospheric factors, then come to the factors related to Earth, and then come to factors related to oceanic movement or oceanic properties. So first factor लिखेंगे आप atmospheric factors. Atmospheric factors. So factors को categorize करें as three factors: atmosphere, factors related to Earth, and then third factor is ocean itself. Right? In atmospheric factor, which is the first atmospheric factor? Prevailing winds. And the process is simple, very simple. Simple इसलिए कह रहा हूँ because by the time you take optionals, winds का direction, I hope we are clear. So if this is a pool of water or part of an ocean, the wind moving in a particular direction will create a frictional drag on the surface of water and carry it in the same direction. क्यों? क्योंकि पानी का surface smooth नहीं होता. If you break down and look at the microscopic view of water, it will be having a rough surface. It's not a smooth surface. हमें दिखता जरूर smooth surface, but it is never a smooth surface. There will be a lot of friction. So there will be friction between this rough surface of water and the movement of air. अब गलती कहाँ पर होती है? जब हम ओशन करंट्स को विजुअलाइज करते हैं तो लगता है कि जिस स्पीड से विंड मूवमेंट हो रहा है उसी स्पीड से ओशनिक करंट भी मूव करेगा. सो स्विड्रप ने कैलकुलेट किया, we mentioned this so many times, his name. He said that only 2% of wind velocity is transferred to oceans. Only 2% of the wind velocity can be transferred to oceans, and then some people say it is much lesser than that. Why is it so less? Is because there will be friction within the layers of water as well. पानी का अपना viscosity भी है और salinity है, तो viscosity थोड़ा ज़्यादा होगा, तो movement will not be that easy. तो wind के लिए बहुत आसान नहीं है पानी को carry करना. So that's why wind speed, even if it's like 10 kilometers per hour, we don't say that it will be like 2 kilometers per hour the speed of ocean, much lesser than 2%. But then he says that that is the amount of energy that gets translated to the ocean surface. The rest, the movement is further slowed down by the viscosity of the liquid itself. Viscosity everyone understands, right? और viscosity oceans में थोड़ा ज़्यादा होता है क्योंकि उसमें salinity है. Okay with this? So let's write down. First factor, prevailing winds, and Karl Zopritz, Karlzopritz. Karl Zopritz was the first oceanographer to relate wind movement and ocean current in his theory. Was the first oceanographer to relate wind movement and ocean current. Was the first oceanographer to relate wind movement and ocean current in his theory on ocean currents. In his theory on ocean currents. Wind movement and ocean current in his theory on ocean currents. In his theory on ocean currents. Full stop. He mentioned in his theory that wind shows effect only up to 30 to 35 feet. 30 to 35 feet shows effect only up to 30 to 35 feet. 30 to 35 feet. The viscosity of water. Viscosity of water in subsurface layers restricts the movement and it remains unaffected. Full stop. Straight drop. SVE restricts the movement and it remains unaffected. Full stop. Straight drop. SVERDRUP restricts the movement and it remains unaffected. Full stop. Straight drop. SVERDRUP straight drop. Calculated ocean currents are outcome of oceano-atmospheric interactions. Calculated ocean currents are outcome of oceano-atmospheric interaction about 2% of wind energy is transferred to water surface. Full stop. It is due to this reason that in tropical areas ocean currents flow from east to west, whereas in mid latitudes under the influence of westerlies under the influence of westerlies flow from under the influence of westerlies under the influence of westerlies flow from west to east. West to east. Factor number 2 is atmospheric pressure. Atmospheric pressure. So atmospheric pressure will play the indirect role on wind movement. We have a pool of water again, let's suppose, and here there's huge amount of atmospheric pressure. Okay, suppose it's a high pressure where air is subsiding. The subsidence of air will keep water at a lower level. And let us suppose here we have a low pressure where air continues to rise upwards. Since the pressure here is low, the water can freely expand. Water can freely expand. So you will find that in the case of low pressure, water level is slightly higher. In case of high pressure, water level is low. इसलिए sea level कभी भी same नहीं होता. हर जगह sea level एक जैसा नहीं होगा, इसलिए हम use करते हैं term mean sea level. अब sea level पे effects बहुत सारे होंगे. Ocean bottom topography का होगा, पानी का level कितना है वो होगा. Atmospheric pressure will also be one of the factor. Why atmospheric pressure? In the regions of high pressure, it is getting compressed, so it maintains a lower water level. और अगर compression और high water level है, we can also say it is denser, so mobility of water will be low in the regions of high pressure. Here the mobility of water will be slightly higher क्योंकि free movement होगा पानी का और पानी चूंकि higher level है तो आप देखते हैं कि high level से पानी low level की तरफ move करेगा. तो जहां low pressure conditions है equatorial areas for example वहां से पानी easily move करेगा high pressure की तरफ या फिर subtropical high pressure की तरफ. Further aided by temperature एक दूसरा factor होगा यहाँ पर. Here we are just looking at atmospheric pressure. So you can say that equatorial water is ready to move. It just needs one more trigger. वो trigger कौन देगा इसको? Temperature difference. Temperature of water, not atmospheric temperature. So atmospheric pressure, I hope it is clear. Atmospheric pressure, it plays an indirect role in the mobility of water. In the mobility of water. In the mobility of water. First up, higher atmospheric pressure compresses water molecules, making it more dense. Atmospheric pressure compresses water molecules, making it more dense. Movement is thus restricted. Full stop. In the regions of low atmospheric pressure, water molecules move more freely. Full stop. Right? Due to compression, higher atmospheric pressure is maintained. Higher atmospheric pressure maintains low level. High atmospheric pressure maintains low level of oceans, whereas in low pressure zones, atmospheric pressure maintains low level of oceans, whereas in low pressure zones, water level is slightly raised. Stop. These factors further contribute contribute to the movement of water from equatorial regions. These factors further contribute
To the
to the movement of water from equatorial regions to high latitude regions. Equatorial regions to high latitude regions. क्या ये दो फैक्टर्स हैं जो एटमॉस्फेरिक फैक्टर रिलेटेड, एक एटमॉस्फेरिक प्रेशर और दूसरा विंड मूवमेंट. इसको यहाँ पर रोक देते हैं. लेट्स गो टू द नेक्स्ट फैक्टर. सेकंड फैक्टर इज रिलेटेड टू अर्थ. And so earth related factors. Should we continue with this? And first earth related factor will be gravitation. Gravitation. और to be honest, मुझे नहीं पता कैसे explain करूँ उसको. Right? जैसे हमने winds में कहा था, exact factor is not known, exact effect is not known, but you cannot at the same time ignore this. Right? If we go by general meaning of gravity or on the surface of Earth, here at equator, you can see the gravity is less, slightly marginally less gravity. Here, the gravity is higher. अब जहाँ थोड़ा सा gravity ज़्यादा है, तो वहाँ pull ज़्यादा होगा, water will be more tightly packed or more sinking. और जहाँ gravity थोड़ा कम है, वहाँ पानी easily expand करता है. तो आप जरा सोच के देखो कि इक्वेटर पर क्यों पानी का लेवल ज़्यादा होगा. All factors are kind of helping the water to move out of equator. क्यों gravity कम है, तो पानी का लेवल ज़्यादा है. Low pressure है, तो mobility ज़्यादा है. तीसरा factor अभी आएगा temperature, तो पानी का लेवल ज़्यादा है. You'll find that the reasons why we have more water mobility at equator, all these factors are contributing to it. Getting my point? So, but at the same time, ignore नहीं कर सकते gravity को. Right? So, gravity में every particle on Earth's surface experiences gravitational pull directed to the center. Every particle on Earth's surface experiences gravitational pull directed to the center. Full stop. Due to oblate shape of Earth, gravitational force is not uniform. Gravitational force is not uniform. It is lesser towards equator. Gravitational force is not uniform. It is lesser towards equator and higher towards poles. So this difference in gravity creates dynamism on the surface of Earth. अब वो डायनेमिज्म अपने प्लेट टेक्टोनिक्स में भी कहीं, प्लेट टेक्टोनिक्स तो नहीं लेकिन कॉन्टिनेंटल ड्रिफ्ट में देखा था, ग्रेविटी एनोमली. सेम थिंग यू फाउंड पोलवर्ड ऑन द सरफेस ऑफ अर्थ. अब वो डायनेमिज्म अपने प्लेट टेक्टोनिक्स में भी कहीं, प्लेट टेक्टोनिक्स तो नहीं लेकिन कॉन्टिनेंटल ड्रिफ्ट में देखा था, ग्रेविटी एनोमली. सेम थिंग यू फाउंड पोलवर्ड मूवमेंट देयर. यहाँ पर भी क्या मिलेगा हमें? पोलवर्ड मूवमेंट ऑफ वाटर फ्रॉम इक्वेटर. So gravitational force. Next is rotation of Earth. What is the effect of rotation of Earth on ocean currents? Coriolis force नहीं. Leave Coriolis force. What is the effect? What could be the effect? Can we say due to rotation of Earth, the default movement of water will be towards west? Inertia होगा कुछ. Rotation of Earth from west to east, water will be moving from east to west. अब tidal impact देखो तो east to west होगा. जो भी movement है पानी का surface of Earth में वो by default west की तरफ जाएगा. Aided by, further supported by winds, you will read a very interesting phenomena that goes in every ocean. We call that as western intensification, or वो that leads to geostrophic circulation. अभी थोड़ी देर में हम geostrophic circulation की तरफ जाएंगे, but by the way, what is geostrophic circulation? Geostrophic circulation सदियों पहले parallel to the isobars or parallel to we can say slope lines. Basically isobars क्या represent करेगा? High pressure, low pressure conditions. तो barometric slope एक term use किया था नहीं यार? Difference. तो barometric lines के ठीक parallel, अब उसको हम barometric lines या नहीं कहेंगे, we'll call it as contour lines. Welcome to this contour lines. So we'll be finding impact of rotation in these geostrophic circulations or western intensification. So हम एक word use कर रहे हैं यहाँ पर, which will be new for all of you, but we will explain it later. Western intensification. This goes around in every ocean, particularly in Atlantic Ocean. It is there in Pacific Ocean, it is there in Atlantic Ocean. कि western margin of ocean में by default पानी का level थोड़ा ज़्यादा होगा, क्योंकि rotation is from west to east. So water will be moving towards west in due to its inertia. You understanding this inertia? Like if I spill some water on this and push it in forward direction, पानी backward होगा. Water tank को कोई भी surface को देखो कि अगर surface forward direction में चलेगा, पानी का movement कहाँ की तरफ होगा? सब backward movement की तरफ होगा. So the rotation of Earth therefore plays a significant role in creating this westward movement of ocean currents. तो rotation के कारण आप देखेंगे west की तरफ पानी का intensification या पानी का movement ज़्यादा हो रहा है. Right? देखिए rotation of Earth. So due to rotation of Earth, water moves towards west. Water moves towards west because of its inertia. 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 Also, this factor causes piling of water. Causes piling of water. Piling of water on the western margin of ocean. Full stop. This factor, along with the wind movement, causes or brings western intensification. Western intensification. Movement causes or brings western intensification. Western intensification. So we'll discuss this western part. Third factor, intensification. Western intensification. So we'll discuss this western part. Third factor is Coriolis force. Third factor is Coriolis force. Coriolis force. बताइए, do I need to explain Coriolis force? Are we clear with this Coriolis force? What is it? Why Coriolis force is applied on the surface of Earth?
Rotation of Earth.
Yes. Differential rotation between equator and poles. And this difference in rotation is because of cape of Earth, having a greater bulge at equator and less at poles. Time is same. इसी को centripetal acceleration कह सकते हैं, because when we move from equator towards poles, the Earth is accelerating. Rotation is of center. So due to difference in the rotation of Earth, or we can say that centripetal acceleration while we move towards poles, here Coriolis force. तो इसमें मुझे नहीं लगता explain करना चाहिए मुझे. Anyone not clear or any confusion in Coriolis force? Sure. पक्का. वो तभी इतना ज्यादा इंटेंस होता है जब पहले तो मूवमेंट है. Two things. One is continuity of the movement of ocean currents plus distance of the ocean currents. ये तो continuous movement है, इसलिए Coriolis force भले कम हो, वो continuously effect दिखाता रहेगा, है ना. दूसरा बात ये है कि Coriolis force का इफेक्ट ज्यादा तब होता है जब वो वेस्टर्लीज के इम्पैक्ट में आने लगेगा. That along with the westerly effect will lead to what we call it as Ekman topping. So सिर्फ Coriolis force ही circulation के लिए काफी नहीं होगा, एक और फैक्टर होगा, that will be the effect of the winds. तो क्यों Coriolis force इतना effective दिखेगा में ocean currents में, despite of the fact that the speed is very slow, is because continuity है and the distance is too long. One goes from equator to subpolar areas. 60 डिग्री का डिस्टेंस मान लीजिए, अगर ये 5000 किलोमीटर डिस्टेंस ट्रैवल करते हैं और कंटिन्यूअसली करे जा रहे हैं, तो Coriolis इफेक्ट भी कंटिन्यूअसली लगता रहेगा, कम लगेगा बट जीरो तो नहीं होगा. So much so that प्लेट्स पर भी Coriolis इफेक्ट लग सकता है अगर वो स्पीड काफी ज्यादा हो प्लेट्स का, या फिर the size of the plate is smaller. एक हाइपोथेसिस के अकॉर्डिंग जब आप पेपर 2 पढ़ेंगे तब आप देखोगे that Indian plate is moving north eastward. एक हाइपोथेसिस कहता है कि अगर आप इक्वेटर क्रॉस करेंगे डिफ्लेक्शन टुवर्ड्स साइड, so this could be one of the reason why Indian plate is moving towards northeast region. तो Coriolis force तो लगेगा, 100% लगेगा. क्यों लगेगा? क्योंकि उसका डिस्टेंस बहुत ज्यादा ट्रैवल करता है और कंटिन्यूअस है, तो इसलिए इफेक्टिव Coriolis force हमें दिखेगा. प्लस Coriolis force will be more effective when it comes or when it mixes with effect of westerlies. Exactly, that is a point we are going to discuss now. तो Coriolis force आप खुद से लिखेंगे, same deflection towards right. So I need to dictate this. Dictation करना है क्या इसका? कुछ भी नहीं. Right word, what is that Coriolis force to dictate? देखो. Effect is same as that of winds, so refer to notes on factors affecting winds. No? चलिए. Coriolis force applied on the object due to difference in the speed of rotation. चलिए. Coriolis force applied on the object due to difference in the speed of rotation.
Difference.
Due to difference in the speed of rotation at different latitudes. Full stop. Equator has maximum speed, whereas it decreases polewards maximum speed, whereas it decreases polewards the difference in speed creates inertial effect.
Polewards.
The difference in speed creates inertial effect. Creates inertial effect on the moving object. full stop. Okay, water masses flowing from equator are deflected eastward. Okay, water masses flowing from equator are deflected eastward. That is towards right of its direction, and left are deflected eastward.
That is
Towards right of its direction, and leftward. No, and that is towards right of its direction, and leftward. No, and westward.
Westward. That is
Westward from poles to equator. Westward from poles to equator. That is right in the northern hemisphere,
is right.
and towards left in southern hemisphere.
The northern hemisphere.
The effect is absent. The effect in the northern hemisphere
And left
and towards left in southern hemisphere.
towards
The effect is absent.
left in southern hemisphere.
The effect is absent at equator.
धीरे रहता है इक्वेटर पे बोलिए इसको.
The effect is absent. The effect is absent at equator. At equator.
बोलिए इसको से बोलिए.
Next, okay. Ocean related factors. Ocean related factors. Third category, ocean related factors. What is the first ocean related factor? Thermal gradient, thermal contrast. So first factor under oceans will be thermal contrast. Temperature difference. How will this thermal difference or gradient work? Repeating this point, already we have covered some points of that. Okay. The region with higher temperature, that is warm water, it undergoes expansion, thermal expansion. Water level is going to be higher in those areas where temperature is slightly higher. Second point, in the regions where temperature is very low, cold water is denser, therefore it keeps sinking to deeper layers. It keeps sinking to deeper layers. And that is why water will move from warm water towards cold water, equator towards polar. Yeah, simply we can say thermal gradient is responsible for carrying water from higher temperature to lower temperature. Reason क्या है? हम books पढ़ेंगे वहाँ एक line में लिखा होगा that water from equator will keep on expanding towards poles. Expansion of water from equatorial regions towards polar regions. अब वो expansion इतना ज़्यादा तो नहीं होगा thermal expansion. In fact, in Savinder Singh itself, it is written in this way that it creates a thermal gradient and water expands from equator to polar areas, higher temperature to lower temperature. तो दिमाग में ये सोचिए कि अगर सिर्फ thermal expansion के कारण क्या ये equator से poles तक पहुंच पाएगा? Impossible. So how does it work? Exactly क्या होगा कि subpolar region में temperature कम होगा. Subpolar regions has colder water, denser water, where the water becomes more compact and it keeps sinking to the deeper layers. तो चूंकि वहां सिंकिंग होता है इक्वेटर में पानी का लेवल ज्यादा बनेगा क्यों ज्यादा बनेगा बिकॉज ऑफ वार्म वाटर कंडीशंस देयर सिंस देयर आर वार्म वाटर कंडीशंस एट इक्वेटर higher water level at subpolar regions water level is low this creates the water movement from equator to poles अगर ये temperature difference, sorry, water level difference ना बने, temperature difference is not good enough to create this water level difference, the water movement will not take place. जैसे, if you remember, maybe we'll also discuss here, those North Atlantic meridional oscillations or circulations are slowing down. क्यों स्लो डाउन हो रहा है? कोई ड्रास्टिक चेंज थोड़ी हुआ है कि क्लाइमेट चेंज के कारण सैलिनिटी कम होते जा रहा है पोलर एरियाज का, या फिर टेम्परेचर थोड़ा इंक्रीज होते जा रहा है वहां पर. थर्मल एक्सपेंशन तो अभी भी है, टेम्परेचर एट इक्वेटर इज स्टिल वेरी हाई, सो इट इज एक्सपैंडिंग, should expand towards polar areas, but what is happening, ये जो पोलर एरिया में सिंकिंग हो रहा था पानी का, वो सिंक नहीं हो रहा है, या उस सिंकिंग में थोड़ी कमी आई है, जिसके कारण ये लेवल जो है वो लगभग बराबर आ रहा है, ग्रेडियंट बन नहीं पा रहा है. So thermal gradient will actually lead to the gradient in the water level. That gradient in the water level is responsible for carrying water from equator to poles. Clear? Otherwise ऐसा लगता है कोई जादू सा है कि पानी expand कर रहा है poles की तरफ. Then should we continue? So thermal gradient, increase in temperature brings thermal expansion in ocean waters. Thermal expansion in ocean waters. Gradient. Increase in temperature brings thermal expansion in ocean waters. Thermal expansion in ocean waters. And water level increases. Water level increases. Waters. Thermal expansion in ocean waters. And water level increases. Water level increases. Full stop. In colder regions or in colder latitudes, water level is lesser because cold dense water in colder regions or in colder latitudes, water level is lesser because cold dense water sinks to deeper layers. This generates water movement. From equatorial latitudes to subpolar latitudes. Equatorial latitudes to subpolar latitudes. So this low density equatorial waters will actually move towards high density subpolar waters. This will be movement actually. High density waters. And reasons we understand that. आगे बढ़े. Next factor is salinity difference. ये मैं बताऊं salinity difference या आप खुद ही बताएंगे. How will salinity act? मन करता है कि दरवाजा बंद कर दो, AC बंद कर दो.
Salinity difference
और कहूँ कि जब तक ये
towards the pole decrease होता है.
ग्रेटिफिकेशन, क्योंकि अंडरस्टैंडिंग देख चुका हूँ मैं करवा के. So इस गलतफहमी में नहीं जियो कि हमें सब समझ के याद होता है. Water will move from low salinity to high salinity. Osmotic gradient is created. It will move from low salinity to higher salinity. Always ऐसा क्यों होता है? क्योंकि बार-बार रेफरेंस दिया था कि अगर low salinity है उसका मतलब what does it mean? The salt is less and the water content is high.
More.
High salinity would mean there's more of water and less of salinity. More of salinity and less of water. So it is a movement of water, not of salt. तो solvent move कब करता है? जब concentration gradient होगा और concentration gradient में it moves from low concentration to higher concentration. Isn't it? many more examples. पूरा biological world में जो movement है वो होता है, that is through osmosis. So water will move from low salinity to
high salinity.
higher salinity, always. Low salinity to higher salinity. Now you will find that polar areas, examples, so many examples, polar areas have low salinity. We have discussed that. You will see some of the water moving from polar latitudes to low latitudes.
to equator.
Poles से low latitudes की तरफ पानी आने का एक कारण है कि fresh water conditions है. Gulf of Bothnia 2 parts per thousand देखा आपने. Arctic Ocean, Labrador Sea, और for the north में जाओगे Davis Strait. There was salinity of around 10, 15, 30 maximum. So that will move from 10, 15, 30 parts per thousand towards 30, 35 parts per thousand salinity. So low to high salinity. याद आया? Right? ये गलतियां नहीं होना चाहिए एग्जाम में. Anyways, let's write down this. Difference in the concentration of salt. Difference in the concentration of salt produces water movement. Right? ये गलतियां नहीं होना चाहिए एग्जाम में. Anyways, let's write down this. Difference in the concentration of salt. Difference in the concentration of salt produces water movement from low salinity to high salinity. From low salinity to high salinity of salt produces water movement from low salinity to high salinity. From low salinity to high salinity of salt produces water movement from low salinity to high salinity. From low salinity to high salinity. Low salinity to high salinity. First up, for example, in polar latitudes, ice melt as fresh water. Ice melt in polar latitudes. Ice melt as fresh water. Ice melt as fresh water that reduces salinity of water bodies. This triggers water movement. Between poles. This triggers water movement between poles to lower latitudes. So temperature is a factor, salinity is a factor. अब दोनों opposite direction में चल रहा है, equator से poles की तरफ और poles से equator की तरफ, तभी तो mixing होगा. Both are because of contrasting factors, and contrasting factor है, that's why they're moving opposite. We'll see in general circulation of ocean currents. So last point we are adding here is ocean bottom topography. Ocean bottom topography. Ocean bottom topography. Do we know what is pelagic zone and what is neritic zone? What is pelagic zone? The deep water zone is referred as pelagic zone. जहाँ तक shallow zone होगा पानी का, the shallow waters, that's called as neritic zone. In resources, we will be looking at different zones of oceans, but generally अगर blue waters जिसको हम कहते हैं blue waters, that means deep oceans. That blue water deep ocean zone is called as pelagic zone. And then that color water or they say white waters which are close to the coast up to the continental shelf, that's called as neritic zone. तो continental shelf तो हमें पता है what is continental shelf? तो continental shelf का जो part है उसको हम कहते हैं pelagic zone, neritic zone. Beyond continental shelf, that is called as pelagic zone. Then you make further division: epipelagic, mesopelagic, bathypelagic. But pelagic zone is that deep waters and here. अब ocean current अगर pelagic zone में चल रहा है, what's the maximum depth of this ocean current? 100 meters. Surface, subsurface phenomena है. और ocean bottom topography is much deeper than that. So this will not have any interaction or any obstruction caused by OBR. Ocean bottom relief ocean currents के साथ कहाँ पे टकराएगा? Neratic zone. You understanding why? When ocean currents are flowing in deep waters, there is no movement, no effect of ocean bottom topography. Only जब ये coast के पास चलेगा, only when it is coming in the Neratic zone, there ocean bottom topography will have some interactions with the ocean currents. Interaction होगा तब क्या
Deeper
होगा?
part of
The
ocean
speed,
होगा
the speed of ocean current is going to decrease.
Neratic.
क्योंकि ocean bottom relief, like seamounts or some depositional features, they are going to have frictional drag on these ocean currents. Frictional drag is going to reduce the speed of the ocean current. Plus, there will be some modification in the movement of ocean currents. लेकिन जब तक ये ocean currents deep waters में है, OBR का कोई role नहीं है. It's same as the effect of the jet streams. When jet streams are flowing at a height of like 7 kilometers
400
from the surface, there is no interaction, speed is very high. लेकिन वही अगर surface wind है, तो उसका interaction होता है, landforms के साथ speed gets reduced. Exactly ocean currents का effect है. So ocean currents are greatly modified by this ocean bottom topography. Is that okay?
Okay.
You clear with this? Neratic zone पता है? Pelagic zones. चलिए अभी एक दो examples भी लेते हैं यहाँ पर. Ocean currents rarely interact with OBR, ocean bottom relief. Rarely interact with ocean bottom relief in pelagic zones. In pelagic zones. They flow irrespective of bottom topography. They flow irrespective of bottom topography. Full stop. In Neratic zone, OBR causes modification in ocean currents. Causes modification in ocean currents. For example, in Atlantic Ocean, Cape Sao Rock, Cape Sao, SAOROQUE, Cape Sao Rock causes bifurcation of north equatorial current. Cape Sao, SAOROQUE, Cape Sao Rock causes bifurcation of north equatorial current. Causes bifurcation of north equatorial currents. Causes bifurcation of north equatorial current. Causes bifurcation of north equatorial currents. Bifurcation of north equatorial currents. Right? Yes, sir. अब हम एक लाइन में इस पूरे को समराइज कर रहे हैं. You need not to draw this या आपकी मर्जी आप करना चाहिए. Then I'll explain this all factors. So let's take an example of ocean currents. ये equator है. This is suppose equator, 0 degree, and I take one continent, and let us see how ocean currents will flow. जितने भी factors हैं, we are bringing them together. For those who have not discussed this ocean currents early, in GS classes, और पूरा एक general circulation देख लो, उसके बारे में आगे बढ़ेंगे. Then we start with equator. Here we have trade winds. Direction of trade wind is northeast, and the direction of trade wind is southeast. So we should be clear with that. Equator पर ocean currents east to west flow करेगा, because wind का direction east to west. The direction of ocean current will be from east to west because of the impact or influence of trade winds from east to west. So we have north equatorial current, south equatorial current. Equatorial current नहीं है. 0 degree पर पानी का movement बिल्कुल कम होगा. क्यों कम होगा? Because there is a doldrum formation. Air movement is vertical. There is a ascendance of air. Where do we have the impact of the trade wind? Northeast towards 5 degree north and 5 degree south. वो 0 degree पर impact of trade wind नहीं होगा. क्यों नहीं होगा? Because vertical movement है air का. तो बहुत ज़्यादा effect नहीं होगा, we'll be having this. Plus rotation of earth will also have some of the influence. हम rotation को ignore करें यहाँ पर, we're just focusing on trade winds. This causes piling of warm water on the western margin of oceans. Along the eastern margin of ocean, there is a upwelling of cold water. We've already discussed that in temperature and salinity. Trade winds are offshore on the eastern margin of oceans. You mentioned this point. Because they are offshore, this causes upwelling. Upwelling से क्या होगा? Less saline cold water comes to the surface, which is good for fishing. तो यहाँ पर fishing grounds बनेंगे. क्यों fishing grounds बनेंगे? Because nutrients, planktons can easily reach to the surface. Moderate conditions होगी. तो eastern part of oceans at equator has a high level of fishing grounds. The density of fishing is much higher in the region. Is primarily because of upwelling. Here, and then we have warm water piling along western coast of oceans. From this western coast of ocean, क्योंकि पानी का level ज़्यादा है, temperature ज़्यादा है, it will create difference in the sea level, and water therefore tends to move polewards. Why is this water moving towards poles? Because of temperature difference. Here the temperature is high, temperature भी ज़्यादा और piling भी तो हुआ है. It's something like the water goes from that part of classroom to the other part of classroom. The piling is higher. ये मान लीजिए subpolar region है. यहाँ पर क्या होगा? पानी का level sink होता रहेगा. क्यों कम होता रहेगा? क्योंकि temperature कम है. तो sinking होता रहेगा, dense water होगा. So one level water is less, other level water is high. So this will create a water movement from equatorial areas to subpolar latitudes. Equator to subpolar latitudes.
Subpolar फिर polar.
It's a warm water, warm ocean currents. Warm ocean currents होगा तो rainfall होगा eastern coast of continents पर, and we have mentioned that in trade winds also. Eastern continents will receive higher rainfall because of the presence of warm ocean currents. By the time these ocean currents reach here in the subpolar latitudes, they are going to receive cold currents from polar latitudes. यहाँ से कुछ cold currents subpolar latitudes की तरफ move करेगा. Primary reason for that is salinity difference. Secondary reason for that is the polar easterlies. Easterlies कैसे move करेगा? East to west. So you find westward movement of the current, but primary reason क्या movement होनेगा? कि salinity कम है polar areas का, the water moves from low salinity to high salinity. This produces mixing. Mixing of ocean currents. Mixing will create normalization of temperature.
Yes, sir.
Normalization of temperature will increase the growth of planktons. Increase of planktons will lead to fishing grounds again. So why do fishing grounds develop? It's because of mixing of these two ocean currents here. अब देखो पानी पूरी तरह खत्म नहीं होता है यहाँ पर, इसलिए खत्म नहीं होता because huge volume that comes up. Now, Coriolis effect लगता रहेगा. Coriolis effect will be continuously working here. Westerlies will drag the water from western margin of oceans to the eastern margin of oceans. They carry water from western margin of ocean in subpolar latitudes to eastern margin of ocean in subpolar latitudes. As a result, आपने temperature distribution में देखा, eastern margin, North Sea, high temperature, high salinity, because saline warm water will reach to this North Sea or eastern margin of ocean. Latitudes कौन से हैं? Subpolar latitudes. And the reason for that is westerlies. Here, यहाँ पर भी ऐसा ही होगा. Westerlies will carry water from west to east. Westerlies are much stronger in southern hemisphere. And reason हमें पता है क्यों, dominance of water mass etc. will carry it. अब एक phenomenon यहाँ पर होता है जिसको हम equivalent pumping कहेंगे. अभी थोड़ी देर में हम equivalent pumping पर चलेंगे. Broadly देखें तो deflection is towards right, right? So since the deflection is towards right, the ocean current should be moving this way from subpolar latitudes to equatorial latitudes. Southern hemisphere में भी ocean currents should be moving towards left. Coriolis effect towards left, so it should be moving towards equatorial areas. Obviously, since it comes from polar areas, it's going to be cold current. There will be a cold conditions there. तो यहाँ पर दो इफेक्ट देखो आप. एक इफेक्ट दिखता है वेस्टर्लीज का. Westerlies will push the water from west to east, और Coriolis effect will cause the rightward movement. तो आपको एक gyre बनता दिख रहा है, circulation बनता दिख रहा है, because of twin effect of westerlies and Coriolis force. इसको थोड़ा और elaborate करूँगा थोड़ी देर में. And then cold current, because water will come from polar areas, obviously it will be cold. This cold current leads to the formation of deserts in tropical areas. That's why some of the deserts are located on the western margin of continents because of the presence of this cold current. Cold current है, देखो, cold current है तो evaporation है, कम होगा, evaporation है तो there's less evaporation, mean would mean drier conditions. But that should not be the correct explanation in at least in options. मैंने कहा GS में भी ऐसे explain ना करो. Cold current will lead to the subsidence of air masses, and we know subsiding air masses will not lead to dry. Optional है जब आप explain करेंगे, आप लिखेंगे the cold currents will give rise to dry cold air masses and sometimes continental tropical air masses. Continental tropical air masses. याद है? When they come in contact with this cold current, they subside. That brings stable atmospheric conditions. Subtropical high pressure belt is greatly induced here. Subtropical high pressure is intensified because of the presence of cold current, leading to stability and formation of desert. Can you understand this? अब इसको सिंप्लीफाई कर रहा हूं तो कोई बात नहीं, हम कहेंगे कि पानी का टेम्परेचर कम है, इवेपोरेशन नहीं है, इवेपोरेशन नहीं तो बारिश भी नहीं है. This is one of the elementary explanation है कॉमर्स. और जीएस में भी आप लिखिएगा, अगर this question is to be mentioned, cold current gives rise to stable air masses. In fact, वहां पर भी जब हमने explanation दिया था तो ये ऐसा ही कहा था कि cold currents will give rise to cold air masses where air masses are going to subside during stable conditions. यहाँ आप इसको थोड़ा और elaborate करिए. If you are writing on this, otherwise GS based question है, optional based question नहीं होगा. Yeah, ये जो मैंने general circulation बताया, just to make you clear that this is how ocean currents circulate. Equator पर low latitudes में east to west, then they move from equator to subpolar areas because of temperature difference, meeting, then comes towards west to east because of westerlies. Coriolis force deflect towards right, then southern hemisphere deflect towards left. By the time they turn towards equator, this will be cold current. Right? ये एक gyre, एक circulation complete हो गया. Let's take the subheading up. General circulation is clear. How? Seasonal variation will have effect only in case of Indian Ocean, prominently so.
Break time.
How? Seasonal variation will have effect only in case of Indian Ocean, prominently so.
Break time. चल गुप्ता पर एक क्वेश्चन, ब्रेक में फोन कैसे अवॉइड करता है? भाई फोन को रख दो अलमीरा में, सबसे अच्छा है, या मम्मी को दे दो, शाम में ले लो. गुप्ता पर एक क्वेश्चन, ब्रेक में फोन कैसे अवॉइड करता है? भाई फोन को रख दो अलमीरा में, सबसे अच्छा है, या मम्मी को दे दो, शाम में ले लो. क्वेश्चन पूछने के लिए कोई है ही नहीं, क्या बोले। ब्रेक टाइम है भाई अभी। बहुत गर्म है यार। ब्रेक टाइम है भाई, कोई क्वेश्चन है तो पूछ सकते हैं। बहुत गर्म है यार। ब्रेक टाइम। The task has been.
Yeah, I definitely didn't get the best score today, but still, I was actually confident in maybe doing a short stream, but we'll see. We'll see. I'll at least try to do the 8 hours. We'll see. Set up a clip on it. Like 20 minutes of sleep for like 5 hours. There we go.
चलिए बाय, अभी हो गया बहुत दिन लगा भाई, कल देख ली खुद ही लाई लो भाई।
Southwest current and northeast currents. In case of equatorial, Atlantic Ocean and Pacific Ocean, seasonal currents will not, seasonality will not have great effect. पर बस एक लाइन में होगा कि जो during summers this movement will be slightly extended towards 10 degree latitude, 15 degree latitude, and winters southern hemisphere will be having a greater extent because southeast winds will be having. So northeast या reversal effect होगा, that's only seen in Indian Ocean. We don't see that impact in Pacific or Atlantic. The reason why don't we see that in others, because in Indian Ocean there is a massive high formation, there is an effect of this Tibetan plateau there, जिसके कारण wind speed और तेज हो जाता है यहाँ पर. तो हमें seasonal effect दिखता है कि Indian Ocean में. Pacific Ocean and Atlantic Ocean do not have any significant change in direction of ocean currents. बस एक effect होगा कि जो equatorial current है, expansion होगा summers में towards the same hemisphere. If northern summers, the expansion is slightly towards north. But reversal, significant reversal is not seen there. Significant reversal is seen only in case of Indian Ocean regions. Take the heading geostrophic circulation.
जियोस्ट्रॉपिक, इसमें डायग्राम बनाएंगे।
Geostrophic circulations.
Right, fine. Geostrophic circulation.
Have you seen the diagram of ocean currents? जो Atlas Have you seen the diagram of ocean currents? जो Atlas वाला map बनी. You have book with you or anyone? Material है या किताब है? ना आप रोज लेकर आते हैं क्या? क्या पता गलत पढ़ा दे कभी तो पकड़ में आएंगे. देखिए चाचा को गिराओ नहीं. He is very dear to all of us. अगर ये Okay. अगर आप ये मैप देख रहे हैं, you can see North Atlantic Gyre. No, Atlas पे बता नहीं. Atlas पे इतना clearly. Can you just provide this book? Okay, just pay attention to this. इतना बड़ा interesting सा map देखेंगे आप. If you can see this map here, उस सार्गासो सी लिखा हुआ. Like very interesting. बाकी question का सब छोड़ दीजिए. Just look at this map. Right, Sargasso Sea. You know what Sargasso Sea? What is the specialty of Sargasso Sea? कुछ और Pacific में भी देखेंगे आप इस मैप में. So you'll find the circulation mentioned here. Can you see that? Visible है या फिर zoom करवाएं? जितने ऑनलाइन होंगे they'll be rejoicing कि उनके पास एक book है. Can you see the circulation? Sargasso Sea. जब भी जाकर इसको मैप को एक बार देखिएगा. I'm just putting emphasis on this point. Okay, let us see in Atlantic. What is the specialty of Sargasso Sea? कोई एक फीचर बताइए Sargasso Sea का. मिक्सिंग नहीं हो पाता. नेविगेशन कुछ मिक्सिंग नहीं हो पाता क्यों? Because Sargasso Sea में it's the only sea without any continental boundary. इसका continental boundary नहीं है. Every sea has a continental boundary. It is touching some part of the continent. This is only sea which has no continental boundary. अभी आप ये ड्रॉ नहीं करेंगे. हम पहले concept को देखें. फिर हम like anyways we have to discuss this. Here you'll find a continuous circulation. In the Sargasso Sea. तो अगर मिक्सिंग नहीं होता, बाउंड्री नहीं है तो बाउंड्री क्या है फिर Sargasso Sea का? ये वजह है the circulation. Outer limit of the circulation is the boundary of Sargasso Sea. Mixing क्यों नहीं होता? Because the circulation बहुत prominent है. How are they circulating? Clockwise or anti-clockwise?
Clockwise.
What's the direction that I've drawn here?
Clockwise.
Clockwise. मुझे लगता है सबके पास clock northern hemisphere का ही है ना? What is northern hemisphere में बना था या southern hemisphere में बना था? Northern नहीं बना था. तो this should be clockwise. Anticyclones are clockwise. पढ़ा था हमने कभी? Yeah, you know this. Anticyclones are clockwise. Cyclones are anti-clockwise. Breeze हमने कुछ पढ़ा होगा कभी? Coriolis force, etc., etc. ये कुछ नहीं पढ़ा हमने. You're giving an impression कि क्यों बोल रहे हो ऐसा? You have not discussed anything. इसी क्लास में हुआ था? So anticyclone or cyclones are anti-clockwise, anticyclone become clockwise in northern hemisphere. तो ये can I call it as anticyclonic circulation? जैसे एंटीसाइक्लोन घूमता है क्लॉकवाइज, ये भी तो वैसे ही घूम रहा है. How is it circulating? Clockwise. Right? That marks the boundary of cyclosis. In Pacific Ocean you'll also find this. Indian Ocean में नहीं दिखता, but in Pacific Ocean also you'll find this kind of a movement. So I need two clarifications from you. One is you understand the term anti-clockwise, anticyclone and anticyclonic movement. So if I use the term anticyclonic movement, what does it signify? Clockwise circulation. Yes, high pressure to low pressure also, but mainly towards clockwise circulation in northern hemisphere and reverse in southern hemisphere. दूसरा टर्म आपको क्लियर होना चाहिए, contour lines. What is contour line? Lines that joins equal slope. उसी नियम से ड्रॉ करते हैं तो contour line that will become elevation. Contouring का टर्म सुना होगा आपने कभी? You heard about contouring? It's a method of soil conservation. Yeah, contour bending. Let's suppose this classroom is slightly tilted. This classroom is, or any region is like tilted. So यहाँ से लेकर point A to point B, they have the same slope. यहाँ से इन सभी lines का slope same है. तो मैं ये line जो draw कर रहा हूँ, I'm connecting regions having same slope. Cartography कभी आप पढ़ते हैं तो पहला line यही होगा. Contouring से ही contour line से ही शुरू करते हैं. Right? Then you go towards, suppose I draw one more line. This other contour, यहाँ पर लिखा मैं 100, मतलब 100 meters मान लीजिए. So 100 meters would mean this entire line, all this line has the same elevation. Okay? Then suppose this is 200. I mentioned that this entire line has 200 meters of elevation from the base level. Base level क्या नहीं है आपकी मतलब sea level से या कहीं से that will be. So this will become, this line is suppose 2000. So this region has a 2000 meters of elevation above the base level. ठीक है पूरी line में. तो इसलिए आपको circles देखते हैं. These circles are contours. Contours. This will be written as 2000. This will be written as 500. This is supposed to be written as 100. That means this entire region has an elevation of 100 meters. तो कंटूर से समझ जाएंगे कि लैंडफॉर्म में माउंटेन्स है या प्लेटूज है या क्या फीचर्स है उसमें. जस्ट कंटूरिंग इज दैट इंपॉर्टेंट. तो लाइंस joining places with equal height or slope will be referred as contours. Now contours को भी contours. Very good. Third point, contour lines जब हम isobars draw कर रहे थे, say cyclone or anticyclone, we have drawn the circular isobars or lines. तो are contours same as isobars? What is isobar? Lines running same pressure. यहाँ पर contour lines थे, lines running same elevation. Clear with this? तो ये हम pressure को represent कर रहे हैं और अभी हमने क्या कहा? Contour lines. So contour lines and isobars have some relation, similarities. What is similarities? They join the places with same value, if not pressure and height. They have the same values. Third point that I want you to understand and should be clear is the term geostrophic. Geostrophic. What is geostrophic term? When do we use this term?
Geostrophic circulation.
Jet stream की case में. Right? Jet stream हमने कहा कि lines or movement of winds when occurs parallel to the isobars become geostrophic winds. Or any wind that is moving parallel to isobars. तो अगर water movement को हम देखें, if the water movement is taking place parallel to the contour lines, if water movement is traveling and occurring parallel to the contour lines, can I call it geostrophic? Very geostrophic circulation. मान लीजिए ऐसा एक हिल बनाया हमने और यहाँ से पानी का फ्लो हो रहा है. The flow of water down the hill. And the movement is periodistic लग रहा है या नहीं लग रहा है, let's say, and then water suddenly starts moving like this. It will go parallel to contour lines. क्या कहेंगे इस movement को फिर? Geostrophic circulation. Okay, ये तीन terms को थोड़ा समझो. Anticyclone is easy. Contour lines are here. Lines with the same slope or same elevation. Contour lines. Second, if the water movement is parallel to the contour lines, we call it as geostrophic circulation. Yeah. इसको थोड़ा मैं और geostrophic को अगर रिमाइंड करवाऊँ, घातक मेरे लिए भी होता है और आपके लिए भी. It happens when geostrophic circulation develops, when there is a pressure gradient force balanced by Coriolis force and wind moment is between them. Yeah, right, fine. अब वो pressure gradient force की जगह can I use a slope gradient? It's not pressure gradient. Slope gradient क्या होगा? Like from the upper part of the hill to downhill, that will be slope gradient. Am I clear with this line? So I'm not using the pressure gradient now. I'll be using slope gradient. Slope gradient will be always like this. Check. ज़्यादा confused नहीं करते. We'll come back to the point. Let's suppose draw नहीं करना अभी. Let us suppose this is any ocean surface. Tropical areas, in tropical areas, trade wind is moving east to west. In tropical areas, rotation speed is higher than polar areas. तो अगर east to west movement बोला है पानी का ज़्यादा कहाँ होगा? Tropics में या poles में? Tropics में. Now, if the water is, if the ocean is smaller, we'll find that water by default moves from east to west direction. छोड़िए ocean current, leave ocean currents. trade winds, and inertia of water will carry it towards west. So by default, due to rotation of Earth, the water level is going to be higher on the western margin of ocean than on the eastern margin of ocean. Then इस classroom में पानी like fill this water, classroom with water, and let the classroom rotate in one direction. Let it move in one direction. You see the water moving exactly opposite direction. Opposite direction में if the water is stopped, then the water level increases. It keeps on piling. Can you understand this? So because of the rotation of Earth occurring from west to east, water moving rotation taking place from west to east, and the impact of trade wind, inertia of water will carry towards west, or एक water hill सा बनेगा western तरफ. Visualize, you are at the sea level, water is going towards west, the water level is going to increase. So क्यों ये पानी का मूवमेंट हो रहा है? Rotation. Rotation के ठीक opposite direction में पानी का मूवमेंट हो रहा है. Rotation is from west to east, it goes east to west. So this will create a water hill or a mound of water. पानी का ढेर लगता रहेगा एक तरफ, क्यों लगता रहेगा? We understand that. Sure. So imagine a water hill like formations on the western margin. Water hill like formation. तो एक तरफ पानी का hill से बना, will it not create a gradient? Gradient कहाँ पे act करेगा? Downwards like this. And in that hill, in that water hill, if I draw contours, these will be what lines? Contour lines. The water will move from top of that water back to the base. Hill वैसा नहीं रहेगा ना? तो gravity है तो base की तरफ चले. The water is going to move like this. Down the hill. Intelligent class, rotation of Earth. Yes, and Coriolis force. Will it allow it to move straight? No. Coriolis force क्या रहेगा?
घुमा देगा.
Rightward. Coriolis force initially acts perpendicular to the pressure gradient force. तो यहाँ gradient कहाँ की तरफ है? Downward suppose, right? And water will move exactly perpendicular to it. So from one contour line, I'll draw it separately here. This is one contour. The water is coming from the mound of the hill, peak of the hill. But Coriolis force will deflect it towards right.
This is geostroke.
यहाँ से पानी downwards चलेगा. Coriolis force will deflect it towards right. ऐसे यहाँ contour है. Water will move down the hill. Coriolis force will deflect it towards right. As a result, in this water hill, when the water is coming back, obviously it will not be moving straight. Speed बढ़ेगा पानी का नीचे आते टाइम. Coriolis force is deflecting it towards right and right hemisphere. तो जब आप इस पूरे circulation को देखेंगे, तो कैसा circulation दिखेगा? Clockwise circulation. और anti-cyclonic circulation of ocean waters. ये बहुत परेशान करेगा. When you read this in the textbooks, it's written as an anti-cyclonic pattern of circulation in Atlantic Ocean. तो anti-cyclonic क्या है? यहाँ पर आप सोचेंगे तो cyclonic conditions है, anti-cyclonic conditions क्या है? So it is basically that water level that increases will create a high pressure. पानी जगह पायलट होगा, तो pressure होगा, कहाँ का pressure होगा? Downwards. So water moving from that high pressure of water to that low pressure of water that is towards the gradient. But Coriolis force will keep on deflecting it towards right on every part. तो पूरा जो circulation दिखेगा हमें इस पूरे region में, the circulation is going to be clockwise, something like this. अब this is referred as geostropic circulation. क्यों geostropic circulation का? एक टाइम पर ये किसके पैरेलल चलेगा फिर?
Contour.
Circulation खत्म हो गया या कम हो गया, फिर से पानी आया, फिर से water hill बना, फिर पानी वापस आ रहा है, circulation बने रहा है, water hill कम होगा, again the water is rising. So if you stand near the Sargasso Sea or in Atlantic Ocean particularly, you see that water is moving westward, coming downwards, moving westward, coming downwards. But while it is moving downwards, the movement is very intense. It will be having some Coriolis effect on it. But yeah, can you get some sense of it? इसीलिए Sargasso Sea में बड़ा unique सा feature बन रहा है. कैसा बन रहा है वो clockwise circulation का. तो पहले आपको पानी का level increase होता दिख रहा है, और फिर decrease, जब ये decrease हो रहा है, तो सीधा decrease हो रहा है. Water is not just coming downwards. It is having some kind of circulatory movement. This is happening in Pacific Ocean. But why it is more pronounced in Atlantic Ocean? Because the ocean is smaller. It is there in Pacific Ocean. Indian Ocean में इसलिए नहीं क्योंकि Indian Ocean is not beyond subtropics. उसमें इतना ज़्यादा पानी इफेक्ट नहीं दिखता. अब या नहीं? Clear? So जो आप ये general circulation देख रहे हैं ocean currents का, इसके अंदर एक circulation है. It's a smaller circulation that is going in the western part of ocean. So what is western intensification? You understand that? Sea level से पानी काफी हद तक rise करेगा. And why navigation is so difficult here? Is because water level is not even. It's very uneven. तो आप ऐसा सोचिए कि navigation of like if you are entering in Sargasso Sea region, so you are rising almost like a hill, and it brings you back. आप move कर straight, then it rotates you. Now clear? इसलिए उस sense of direction will be lost in these regions. तो कहाँ पे Sargasso Sea में direction नहीं है, etc. etc. I don't want to name what you are expecting now, because मैंने आज तक नहीं पढ़ा किसी authentic source में कि there is a place like that, whatever. So आज आप जाकर वीडियो बना देना. दोस्तों आइए जाने क्या है इसका राज. Well, US government has not recognized this. It's very close to Bermuda Triangle. It's very close to Miami, Bermuda, and Florida region. So I'm not saying that this is anywhere linked to it at all. But yes, the navigation becomes quite difficult through Sargasso. तो आप जब Atlantic Ocean में आप देख रहे हैं कि ये Sargasso Sea में एक तो कलर अलग है, because Sargasso plankton that we see here, it is greenish, bluish, I don't know what it is, whatever the color it is. It is having this unique coloration in the ocean, Atlantic Ocean. You're seeing that it is not mixing with the rest of the Atlantic Ocean. Why? Because there is a circulation of its own. Right? These are one gyre that we find in western part of oceans and geostrophic gyre. एक और gyre बनेगा, that is because of Ekman popping. Shall we write this? और diagrams बनाएंगे साथ साथ में. Keep some space on the right hand side. So can we call it as primary or secondary circulation? Secondary circulation. Primary circulation क्या होगा? Movement, no, offshore winds, yes. The north equatorial current and south equatorial current. है ना? So शुरुआत यहाँ से करेंगे. देखिए the secondary surface currents within subtropical circulation gyres, within subtropical circulation gyres, within subtropical circulation gyres, within subtropical circulation gyres are created within subtropical circulation gyres are created by the combined effect of gravity, of gravity and Coriolis force. Of gravity and Coriolis force. Full stop. Prevailing winds and Coriolis force causes almost a circular movement of ocean currents in subtropical regions. This large circular loop of moving of ocean currents in subtropical regions. This large circular loop of moving water is called as geostrophic gyres. Full stop. The effect of rotation gyres is called as geostrophic gyres. Full stop. The effect of rotation of Earth and trade winds causes piling of water and trade winds causes piling of water mainly towards western margin of oceans. Full stop. An asymmetric steep gradient western margin of oceans. Full stop. An asymmetric steep gradient on western side is created, whereas the gradient is on western side is created, whereas the gradient is gentler in the eastern side. On western side is created, whereas the gradient is gentler in the eastern side. On the eastern side, the gradient is gentler in the eastern side. On the eastern side, Full stop. The continuous pipe on the eastern side, whereas the gradient is gentler to the eastern side. On the eastern side. Full stop. The continuous westward movement of water, obstructed by north-south alignment of continents, obstructed the continuous westward movement of water, obstructed by north-south alignment of continents, obstructed by north-south alignment of continents, forms a mound of water hill, forms a mound of water hill from where water moves downwards due to gravity. Coriolis force continues to act due to gravity. Coriolis force continues to act on the circulations, causing water to form a gyre on the circulations, causing water to form a gyre similar to geostrophic circulations. Also, the effect of gravity bringing down water and Coriolis force moving it bringing down water
Coriolis force.
and Coriolis force moving it parallel to contour lines is called as geostrophic gyres or circulations, which are similar to anticyclonic circulations. So दो डायग्राम्स हम ड्रॉ करेंगे. We'll do these as contour lines. This is a water hill. The mound. This will create a high pressure. This will be a low pressure. And here it is pressure gradient force. You're saying pressure gradient force क्यों कह रहे हैं? That will be the gradient, basically, gravity. यहाँ पर click भी देखोगे side में. It is the gravity that is acting. Then in the second diagram, similar contour lines. This is PGF and water circulating rightwards. This is because people लिखेगा Coriolis force. तो gyre formed by effect of Coriolis force. क्योंकि पानी का लेवल ज्यादा होगा और यहाँ पर थोड़ा कम पानी का लेवल होगा. This is यहाँ पर इंक्रीज से पानी का इस डायरेक्शन में क्या होगा? जेंटलर स्लोप. तो लो प्रेशर कहेंगे इसको, सेम एज हाई प्रेशर है. तो जो नीचे की लेयर्स होंगी वहां पर पानी का कम होगा स्लोप, और जहां माउंट बना है पानी का दबाव ज्यादा होगा प्लेट के कारण. तो दैट्स व्हाई वी कॉल इसको हाई टू लो, जस्ट टू मेक अ सिमिलरिटी विद जियोस्टॉपिक. तो ड्रॉ दिस. ये डायग्राम समझ में आ गया? Next is about other circulations like Ekman pumping. But we continue. You have drawn till now. Take the next point as Ekman's pumping. This is how the main gyre is formed. Exactly the reason why this main gyre or main circulation is formed. Ekman's pumping. चलिए? Okay, let's pay attention to this. We can understand that there will be some circulations here in one part of ocean. You can say that mini circulations, small circulations within this bigger circulations. तो ओशन सर्कुलेशंस को कंप्लीट करने में इनका भी एक रोल है. सब ट्रॉपिकल एरियाज में कहीं ना कहीं ओशन को बिजी रख रहा है, वहां पर भी मूवमेंट हो रहा है. आई एम फोकसिंग हियर इन द सबपोलर लैटिट्यूड्स. Now, how ocean current goes? It goes from west to east. पहले वो north से south जा रहा है. You're clear, right? Moving from equator polar areas, temperature difference, expansion, etc. Then here, it goes under the influence of western east, और western east के influence में subpolar region से ये वापस equator की तरफ हो रहा है. So you can see this in any ocean. The ocean current is moving like this. It creates a bigger gyre. अभी जो हमारे there was smaller working within it. तो eastern part से equator से west फिर north गया, फिर south की तरफ वापस आया. Southern east में goes from south and comes back towards north at equator. This turning back, ये जो वापस movement हो रहा है पानी का, this is basically due to Ekman's pumping. Combined effect of two things: Coriolis force and effect of winds. Right? What is this Ekman's pumping and all that? Let us suppose this is a water level. So ये line में जो drop है, this is the surface water, 0 meters. This is like 5 meters. This is like 10, 20, 30, 40 meters, और ये 100 meters तक. And these are different layers. Layer first, this is layer second, this is layer third, fourth, fifth. ये layers किसके निकाले हम? पानी के layer से निकाले. And this is the ocean bed, ocean waters. So where is this effect going on? जो ocean करने effect है कहाँ तक maximum है? 100 meters. So we are just reflecting, we are just representing this upper part of it. Right? These different layers up to 100 meters.
Yeah,
Just to for the reference, suppose this is L1, this is L2, this is L3, this is L4, this is L5, this is L6. Layer 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Getting this? The first में क्या लगा? Wind direction. Effect of the wind. How is wind moving in subpolar latitudes? West to east. Yeah? Just to make it clear, I'm drawing it from west to east. अब ये सोच के बताइए, इस क्लासरूम को मैं ओशन लेयर्स मान लूं, वर्टिकल नहीं है, इसको हॉरिजॉन्टल नहीं मान लीजिए आप, बाद में इसको वर्टिकल पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से देखते हैं. राइट? दिस इज रो नंबर 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. और रो नंबर 1 and 2 then 3. Out of all these layers, which one will have better mobility, higher mobility? 1, 2, 3. It has less friction or less viscosity. Ro number 2, it will move less than 1, but can I say more than 3?
Yes.
Clear? क्योंकि रो 2 को रो 3 पकड़ा हुआ है. Ro 3 will move less than ro 4. Sure. So more I go inside the classroom, less mobility I'll feel. I'm saying why? Because there'll be viscosity, there'll be friction between the two. In layers में अगर मैं देखूँ, सबसे ज़्यादा mobility किसमें होगा? As we are going downwards, I can write here the mobility decreases with depth. Deflection or movement decreases with depth. सबसे कम कौन सा deflect होगा? The one that is at 100 meters. सबसे ज़्यादा move कौन करेगा? Surface पर. Then why? It's because friction is increasing with depth. Let us put it this way. I'm trying to pull this row towards this side of the classroom. Let's go to west or east. I'm trying to pull it from west to east. So row 1 बहुत मुश्किल से चला, but it moved. It was held back by row number 2. Clear? Row number 2 भी move कर रहा है, but it was held by row number 3. 3 भी थोड़ा move किया, but row number 4 ने इसको पकड़े रखा. Row number 5 ने पकड़ा. एक time आएगा the last row, suppose I'm pulling it towards west to east. Row number last row कैसा move करेगा? उल्टी pulling it backwards. Friction कहाँ बनता है? Opposite to the movement. Sure. तो अगर मुझे direction दिखाना हो movement का, तो upper layer suppose goes like this, and lowermost layer will be acting something like this. You're getting my point? Sure. So last row is pulling the classroom towards opposite direction. All these chairs in opposite direction, all these rows, and I'm trying to move it in east direction. As a result of it, some part of this row number 1 will move west to east, deflect होगा, और पूरा का पूरा classroom कैसा घूमेगा? Towards almost like right angle. Entire movement of the chairs will start rotating. क्यों rotate कर रहा है? एक opposite direction में impact कर रहा है. I'm moving towards west. That is by default moving towards west, east, opposite directions. तो अगर opposite direction में movement है, what will happen to chairs? They're going to turn.
घूम जाएगा.
अब क्या? So if westerlies are pushing the currents towards west to east, obviously row number 1 will not move exact parallel to it. क्यों parallel नहीं move करेगा? Because there's a friction. L1 is L by L2, but still it is going to deflect. Second row, second row, deflect less. Third, less, deflect less. Next, less, almost no deflection. What is it showing? It is showing the movement or tendency of the L6 to move in opposite direction. क्योंकि उसका सबसे ज़्यादा फ्रिक्शन लगा है. L1 कैसा चलना चाह रहा है? West to east. L6 कैसा चलना चाह रहा है? East to west. So बीच में पानी का net transport कैसा होगा? So it is west to east. It is moving from north to south. If you go to its opposite direction, लेकिन अगर कोई भी force को ले रहा है northern hemisphere, deflection डालने को होना चाहिए.
Towards right.
Right की तरफ. Deflection डालने को होगा. Right to right. Or right to the direction of ocean current. So how is the net transport taking place? This will be net transport. Why this net transport is from north to south? Is because tendency of the ocean current is wind is to carry from west to east. Lower layers will push it backwards. Why? Because friction is acting opposite. So that will experience least movement, least deflection. Maximum deflection, surface. Subsurface की तरफ जाते जाते क्या होगा? The deflection will keep on decreasing. So net transport will be somewhere in 90 degree of that. इसको कैसे तो materials go like this and it is westward. So both forces are acting 180 degree opposite. Wind जा रहा है west to east और lowermost layer कैसा जा रहा है? East to west. तो net transport कैसा होगा पानी का? somewhere like 90 degree. अब क्या? Apply this here. Apply in this case. How is westerly moving? West to east. Sure. So surface current will follow it to some extent, not 100% parallel, to some extent. The surface current जो ठीक नीचे, like 10 meters नीचे पानी है, वो कैसा मूव करेगा? थोड़ा सा उसके नीचे पानी है, less. तो पूरा का पूरा movement कैसा होगा फिर?
North to south.
90 degree to that movement. Net transport is going to be from north to south. Southern hemisphere, westerlies are acting west to east. They're moving from west to east. And they're moving from west to east, right? Deflection डालने को होगा.
Towards left.
Why? Coriolis effect. So the upper layer should move like this. लेकिन इसके नीचे जो लेयर है 10-30 मीटर नीचे जो लेयर है वो कैसा डिफलेक्ट होगा? It will deflect less than the top layer, it will deflect less than the top layer, it will deflect less than the top layer. So net transport is going to take place
South to
almost perpendicular to the direction of wind. How is that?
south
Back
to
to
north.
equator. It can go polarist. देखो 90 degree ऐसा होगा. Equator की तरफ और pole की तरफ. But why is it going towards equator? Is because Coriolis deflection is towards left and southern hemisphere, and Coriolis deflection is towards right and northern hemisphere.
Northern hemisphere.
This effect is what we refer as equator pumping. The reason why ocean currents actually move backward or they come back towards equator from subpolar latitudes. इसको ध्यान में रखने का बस एक ही तरीका है कि अगर आप ये समझें कि क्लासरूम को हॉरिजॉन्टल माने वर्टिकल मान लो, ऊपर वाली लेयर्स मूविंग फास्टर, लोअर लेयर्स मूविंग इन बैकवर्ड डायरेक्शन. जो बीच की लेयर्स हैं उनका मूवमेंट कैसा होगा? इन बिटवीन द अपर लेयर एंड लोअर लेयर. तो अपर लेयर इज मूविंग टू वेस्ट टू ईस्ट, ऑलमोस्ट वेस्ट टू ईस्ट. लोअर लेयर्स आर ट्राइंग टू पुल इट बैकवर्ड्स. तो बीच की लेयर्स कैसे मूव करेंगी? समवेयर इन बिटवीन दीस टू. व्हाट इज इन बिटवीन वेस्ट एंड ईस्ट? नॉर्थ टू साउथ और साउथ टू नॉर्थ. ताकि आप गेटिंग दिस. तो ये सरफेस मूवमेंट एक्चुअली 0 मीटर वाला लेयर नहीं जो वापस आ रहा है, वो कौन सा लेयर है? वो जो 10 20 30 मीटर नीचे, तो सब लेयर्स, बट दैट इज इटसेल्फ कॉल्ड एज सरफेस वाटर. क्योंकि जो सरफेस का पानी 0 मीटर का जो पानी है वो कहां टच होगा? दैट्स गोइंग टू मूव टुवर्ड्स कोस्ट, इट विल रीच हियर. इसके नीचे का जो लेयर है दैट विल कीप ऑन डिफ्लेक्टिंग साउथवर्ड्स. एज अ रिजल्ट अ जायर इज फॉर्म. कुछ भी क्लियर नहीं हुआ? एक काम करते हैं, ऑल ऑफ यू होल्ड हैंड्स, पुल इट एंड पुल वन डायरेक्शन टुवर्ड्स वन साइड, और फिर देखो घूमोगे या नहीं. घूमेंगे? ऑल ऑफ यू विल, मतलब आप मुझसे ज्यादा फोर्स लगाओगे, ज्यादा फोर्स लगाएंगे. तो इफ यू होल्ड हैंड्स ऑल ऑफ यू एंड आई एम पुलिंग द फर्स्ट फ्लो टुवर्ड्स वन साइड और वो अपोजिट डायरेक्शन में जोर लगाएगा, तो जो बीच में वो होंगे वो कैसे मूव करेगा? स्पिन करेगा, रोटेट करेगा. इनफैक्ट तो आपकी बातों में डिस्प्रूव करूं या प्रूव करूं? दोनों देखो. लेट्स कम टू दैट. सबसे पहले I just want you to be clear with the equine pumping. Is it clear? Here the temperature is higher. Why is it higher? Because surface water carries warm water here. Eastern part of equator has undergone some upwelling. Isn't it? Temperature of this part is going to be lesser. So what will happen? It is still moving according to thermal gradient only. But eastern part of equator is not moving to western part. कहाँ चला जा रहा है? Eastern Gulf oceans. Eastern Gulf ocean में क्या होता है? Upwelling of water. Upwelling of water means it will be having relatively less conditions, less temperature. Right? Already deficits are created. But that is not the case. The point is, it is just completing one gyre. The point is that it is just turning back towards equator because of Ekman pumping. जहाँ तक टेम्परेचर की बात है, obviously temperature of this part will be warmer और यहाँ पर cold water upwelling है. By the time it comes back, but there, salinity को भी लाना चाहते हैं, salinity को भी लाएंगे. Tropical water will be anyways more saline than the water mixing होगा. But sorry, क्यों? Concept को ना बिरयानी की तरह रखा करो. Enjoy all flavors. Sorry, vegetarian हो गया तो. Whatever you consider. Okay. So you should enjoy all flavors, but जब segregation करना हो, तो segregate भी कर पाए. Do you understand that? तो हर concept को अलग-अलग segregate करना भी होना चाहिए. Problem ये हो जाता है कि आप उसको खिचड़ी में convert कर देते हैं. और जब खिचड़ी convert हो गया, अब वो flavor segregate नहीं हो रहा है. Difference between and both are healthy, कोई बात नहीं. Isn't it? Both are healthy, ऐसा कोई problem नहीं है. But आप उसको बिरयानी बनाओ या उसको खिचड़ी बनाओ, it doesn't matter to me. I just want you to remember बस ये एग्जाम में आप सब पूरा रीजन लिखिए, एक मिनट कॉपी लिख लें, खत्म करो. हाँ, बाकी
Ekman pumping.
Done. Could we write this? Right, then if needed, I explain again. Okay, Ekman, on one side, Ekman. Develop a model of surface ocean currents. 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 Develop a model of surface ocean currents relative to. Develop a model of surface ocean currents. Develop a model of surface ocean currents relative to wind direction ocean currents. Develop a model of surface ocean currents relative to wind direction caused by Coriolis deflection. Coriolis deflection. According to Ekman, the surface water of ocean wind direction caused by Coriolis deflection.
According to Ekman,
Coriolis deflection. According to Ekman, the surface water of ocean, when in motion by wind, is deflected to the right of direction, in northern hemisphere, deflected to the right of direction in northern hemisphere. The model states that each successive layer of ocean water decreases in response. Each successive layer of ocean water decreases in response downwards. Decreases in response downwards due to friction with each successive layer. Due to friction with each successive layer. Full stop. It may be mentioned to friction with each successive layer. Full stop. It may be mentioned that water of individual layer move differently. Water of individual layer move differently. But overall bulk or overall direction of bulk of water mass of all layer goes almost 90 degree to current generating wind. Full stop. In northern hemisphere it is towards right. In southern hemisphere it is towards right. In southern hemisphere it is towards left. So these are different layers. 0 meters and right, this is 100 meters. This is the wind direction and it is deflecting. This deflects less. This layer deflects even lesser. This will be less. And the movement is opposite. ये जो डायरेक्शंस देख रहे हैं आप, ये सिर्फ क्या दिखा रहा है कि फोर्स कितना लग रहा है और किस डायरेक्शन में पानी का मूवमेंट होगा. This is reflecting the maximum upper layer 0 meters depth 3. Upper layer deflects the most. Lower layer is deflecting the least. ये तो हर जगह पानी का लेयर है. मतलब don't think that पानी का लेयर इतना ही है. And this is the net transport. Done. Let's go to ocean currents in different oceans, starting from Atlantic Ocean, Pacific. Indian Ocean. This is the general circulation of ocean currents and factors what influence ocean currents. So take the heading currents of Atlantic Ocean. Ekman pumping done. So now if an ocean current is North Atlantic drift southward आएगा, equator की तरफ आएगा, should we be clear कि क्या reason है उसके southward आने का? Anyways, let's move on. कहाँ की तरफ चले हम? Currents of Atlantic Ocean. So you probably have seen atlas or ocean currents in atlas, ocean currents in whatever book that you refer. तो Atlantic Ocean draw करो और एक एक करके explain करते हैं currents को. Draw?
No sir, wait.
Draw कर लिया? So write the first current, north equatorial current. Okay, let's start. Ocean currents. अगर मैं यहाँ पर obviously GS से थोड़ा कुछ extra detailing करना पड़ेगा, कुछ और points हमें लिखने पड़ेंगे. But आप में से कितने लोगों ने GS वाला नहीं पढ़ा बेटा? Ocean currents. सबने पढ़ा ocean currents? So I'll move fast ताकि हम फिर detailing में चलें. So here at equator, ocean currents flow from east to west. We call that as north equatorial current, and then there'll be south equatorial current. Equators. This north equatorial current is called as Florida current. यहीं पर Florida current से ये current separate होता है. We call it as Caribbean current. Well, it is the Caribbean current which enters into Sargasso circulation. यहाँ से ये नॉर्थ इक्वेटोरियल करंट से एक करंट बाइफरकेट होकर के सार्गासो सर्कुलेशन की तरफ एंटर करेगा, then it forms a different feature. Whereas the Florida current goes further in terms of detailing current. Okay? North equatorial current. Okay? Let's start. Ocean currents. अगर मैं यहाँ पर obviously GS से थोड़ा कुछ extra detailing करना पड़ेगा, कुछ और points हमें लिखने पड़ेंगे. But आप में से कितने लोगों ने GS वाला नहीं पढ़ा बेटा? Ocean currents. सबने पढ़ा ocean currents? So I'll move fast ताकि हम फिर detailing में चलें. So here at equator, ocean currents flow from east to west. We call it as north equatorial current, and then there'll be south equatorial current. Equators. This north equatorial current is called as Florida current. यहीं पर Florida current से ये separate होता है. We call it as Caribbean current. Well, it is the Caribbean current which enters into Sargasso circulation. यहाँ से ये नॉर्थ इक्वेटोरियल करंट से एक करंट बाइफरकेट होकर के सार्गासो सर्कुलेशन की तरफ एंटर करेगा, then it forms a different feature altogether. Whereas the Florida current goes further in the Gulf of Mexico, and from there it continues to move northwards. And just a minute. It continues to move northwards. We call this as Gulf Stream. So it's called as Gulf Stream. Okay. And here there will be Greenland, Icelandic region. So here there's a cold current moving downwards. We call it as East Greenland current. East Greenland current, and there's one more Greenland, Icelandic region. So here there's a cold current moving downwards. We call it as East Greenland current. East Greenland current, and there's one more cold current here called as Labrador current. Okay. I'll come back to this. अब ये reason explain करना चाहूँ क्यों Gulf Stream northward जा रहा है, why is it going east to west? You should be clear with all that. Pay attention now. देखो north equatorial current जब move या flow कर रहा है, trade winds के impact में, it is कौन जा रहा है, why is it going east to west? You should be clear with all that. Pay attention now. देखो north equatorial current जब move या flow कर रहा है, trade winds के impact में, it is called as Keynes current here in northern part. यहाँ पर ये modify हो जाता है. अभी हमने थोड़ी देर पहले कहा था when ocean currents reach to Atlantic zone, they are often modified by ocean bottom topography. Cape Sound Rock हमने example दिया था. So when ocean current is flowing around the coast of South America, can I say that there will be it is flowing in the Atlantic zone? Yeah, Atlantic zone. तो modification होगा. यहाँ पर क्या होता है in the coast of South America, northern coast of South America, there is a cape there, the projection of continent towards the sea. It's a very sharp feature. तो जब north equatorial current इसके साथ टकराता है, ये modify bifurcate कर देता है. एक part Caribbean Antilles current और Caribbean current में चला गया, और दूसरा part Florida current और फिर Gulf Stream बनेगा. So there's a bifurcation. Why this bifurcation has been caused is because of that sharp appointed Cape Sound Rock. This is one example where Sound Rock is going to, or Atlantic zone, ocean bottom topography is modifying the ocean current. That example हमने लिखा था. because डायरेक्टली समझ में आ रहा है. Modification क्या होगा इसमें? There will be, going back to this, there will be Amazon carrying huge volumes of water, तो थोड़ा बहुत modification बनता रहेगा. कोई बात. असली modification, the real modification is ocean current is caused when it comes in contact to this Mississippi and Missouri water draining into it. Mississippi, Missouri will bring huge volumes of water in it, and as a result, the water volume increases, and that is why we call it as stream. क्योंकि volume बढ़ चुका है. Speed भी बढ़ा यहाँ पे और volume भी बढ़ा है. Why does volume increase? It's because it gets narrowed down in the Gulf of Mexico. और Gulf of Mexico is also the region where Mississippi and Missouri drains huge volumes of water. अब इसके बाद हम इसको क्या करेंगे? Gulf Stream. तो कहाँ पर Gulf Stream करेंगे? There's a place here known as Cape Sable. Cape Sable is a southern part of Florida. ये region जो है Florida Peninsula का, इसको Cape Sable है. तो Cape Hatteras. Cape Hatteras is near Canada. This region, Cape Sable to Cape Hatteras, is called as Gulf Stream, because it shows maximum volume. उसके बाद ये बढ़ने लगेगा. It gets divided into North Atlantic Drift and all that. Two more points to know. Pay attention. इस region को लेकर, this is western part. If you stand at the shores of, let's suppose you are standing at the shores of North America, यहाँ पर, तो आप क्या देखेंगे? बहुत दूर जाकर के water volume बहुत ज़्यादा है और वो कहाँ की तरफ drag हो रहा है? It's getting carried towards north. Warm or cold? Warm, because equator से आ रहा है. Then you jump in water and you find that there are small circulation of cold water exactly near the coast of North America. यहाँ पर cold water का zone बनेगा. क्यों? Because some of the rivers from America, North America, will drain some of the water exactly near the coast of North America. तो जो coast से लगा हुआ पानी है, वो cold water होगा, and form a cold wall. That is often referred as cold wall. Water level is low, पानी का level कम होगा, लेकिन पानी का temperature भी कम होगा. क्यों पानी का temperature कम होगा? क्योंकि जो ठंडा पानी है ocean से, river से, that is getting drained around the coast of North America. After a few meters away from this cold water zone, there is a Gulf Stream moving northwards. So between the coast of North America and Gulf Stream, there is a small zone, a very narrow zone of cold water that is formed. Cold wall कहते हैं इसको. तो ये एकदम ऐसा नहीं होगा कि कोल्ड गल्फ स्ट्रीम इज जस्ट मूविंग टचिंग द कोस्ट ऑफ नॉर्थ अमेरिका. इट इज नॉट टचिंग द कोस्ट ऑफ नॉर्थ अमेरिका. इट्स मूविंग अवे फ्रॉम नॉर्थ अमेरिका. इट इज एनफ वॉल्यूम और कोल्डनेस फोर्स भी उसको थोड़ा राइट कर देगा, नॉट अलाउइंग इट एक्जेक्टली टू द कोस्ट ऑफ नॉर्थ अमेरिका. तो फ्रिक्शन भी कभी मूवमेंट भी हुआ है. तो बिटवीन दिस गल्फ स्ट्रीम, वार्म गल्फ स्ट्रीम एंड द कोस्ट, व्हाट इज इन बिटवीन? कोल्ड जोन ऑफ
कोल्ड जोन, कोल्ड वॉल.
और केप सेबल से लेकर केप हैटरस के बीच में गल्फ स्ट्रीम कहलाएगा, राइट? बिकॉज़ हियर देयर विल बी मिक्सिंग. अभी मिक्सिंग का नहीं होगा. इट आल्सो कम्स इन द impact of westerlies. So westerlies will carry the water towards, it will carry the water from west to east. Sure. What do you call this as? North Atlantic Drift. What happens in North Atlantic Drift? We'll see the bifurcation. There are so many currents. Norwegian current है, Irvingian current है. फिर आप देखो यहाँ Redel current है. और Redel current के बाद फिर Canary current है. There are different names of the current. We'll discuss these currents later. I just want to be clear about the segment pattern. Why is this North Atlantic Drift moving from west to east? Under the influence of westerlies. तो पूरा का पूरा पानी का move करेगा नहीं. जो surface पे पानी है वही कहाँ की तरफ move करेगा? Europe की तरफ, west to east. The subsurface water which is having different movement will develop this thing. Net transport. कहाँ की तरफ होगा net transport? Equator की तरफ. ये पोल की तरफ हो सकता है या फिर इक्वेटर की तरफ हो सकता है. इक्वेटर की तरफ होगा because of Coriolis effect deflecting towards right. Okay? So why does this ocean current move southward? Why does it come back to equator? Equator problem. तो सरफेस पर मतलब मान लीजिए 10 मीटर तक पानी है, वो कहाँ चला गया? यूरोप की कोस्ट, यूरोप में. और जो नीचे पानी है 10, 20, 30, 40 मीटर, that is gradually turning towards equator. इसी करंट को ये नॉर्थ अटलांटिक ड्रिफ्ट को नॉर्वेजियन करंट कहेंगे, यूरोपियन करंट कहेंगे, रेडल करंट कहेंगे. बट इफ यू कैलकुलेट दिस नेट ट्रांसपोर्ट, by the time they coming back towards the lower regions, temperature would have decreased. We call this current as Canary current. इतना आइस मेल्ट होता है कि टेम्परेचर कम होगा. अब हम उसको बाद में देखेंगे. पहले इतना लिख लेते हैं because this will be very essential for its अगली डिटेल दिखा देगा. फिर कंटिन्यू. टेक अप. नॉर्थ पे कोई करेंगे. वेरी फास्ट. It flows from western coast of Africa. Continue. Take up. North equatorial current. Very fast. It flows from western coast of Africa to the eastern coast of South America. Western coast of Africa to the eastern coast of South America. To the eastern coast of South America.
दिख रहा है यहाँ से वेस्टर्न कोस्ट ऑफ साउथ अमेरिका.
So current does not follow absolute straight path. As it covers different portions of oceans. Path does not follow absolute straight path. As it covers different portions of oceans. As it covers different portions of oceans. Does not follow absolute straight path. as it covers different portions of oceans.
Different.
It diverts towards north as it covers different portions of oceans. It diverts towards northwest. Diverts towards northwest along the barriers near South American coast. Barriers near South American coast, and splits in two branches. Splits in two branches coast. Barriers near South American coast, and splits in two branches. Splits in two branches. Two branches. Antilles and Florida. Antilles. Antilles current. Two branches. Antilles and Florida. Antilles. Antilles current. Antilles. Antilles current and Florida. Full stop. Antilles current. Antilles current. Antilles. Antilles current further merges in clockwise circulation. In clockwise circulation around Sargasso Sea. Under Sargasso Sea. The southern branch of it. So see. Under Sargasso Sea. The southern branch of it. The southern branch of it, known as Caribbean current. Known as Caribbean current. The southern branch of it. The southern branch of it, known as Caribbean current. Known as Caribbean current, joins Florida current. Joins Florida current. So it's a warm current. Florida current joins Florida current. So it's a warm current. Warm current that enters in Gulf of Mexico. That enters in Gulf of Mexico through Strait of Florida. Through Strait of Florida. Because of continental slope towards west. Because of continental slope through Strait of Florida. Because of continental slope towards west. Because of continental slope towards west. Because of continental slope towards west. Towards west. So stop, Lika. This description is of north equatorial current. Now the nature of the current is going to change. How will the nature of the current going to changes here? Because of volume is increasing. Plus थोड़ा बहुत कुछ minerals वगैरह भी change होंगे, पानी का nature भी change होगा. अब के बाद दूसरा नाम आएगा. Primarily, if you see, this is all the same current moving. Equator से पानी move होकर north south, but we keep changing the names. Why? Because of the impact they show at the respective coast, and the nature of the current will change in terms of volume and sometimes in terms of temperature. So next is Gulf Stream. Gulf Stream. Gulf Stream. It's a most voluminous current. Most voluminous current that flows along Cape Hatteras. Most voluminous current that flows along Cape Hatteras. Hatteras. Cape Hatteras. Most voluminous current that flows along Cape Hatteras. Hatteras, Cape Hatteras. Most voluminous current that flows along Cape Hatteras. Hatteras, Cape Hatteras. Most voluminous current that flows along Cape Hatteras. Hatteras, Cape Hatteras.
Hatteras.
2. Along Hatteras and Newfoundland. And Newfoundland. So the volume is reinforced. The volume is reinforced by Mississippi River. Which draws huge volume of water in the Gulf. Which draws huge volume of water in the Gulf. Which draws huge volume of water in the Gulf. Which draws huge volume of water in the which draws huge volume of water in the Gulf by Mississippi River. Which draws huge volume of water in the Gulf. Which draws huge volume of water in the Gulf. In the Gulf. Full stop. The current of the coast of US. Current of the coast of US flows between the coast. Current of the coast of US flows between the coast and Sargasso Sea. Between two regions, between the two, there's a presence of cold water. Presence of cold water, often referred as cold wall. Often referred as cold wall. Full stop. Cold water, often referred as cold wall. Often referred as cold wall. Full stop. Cold water is due to a river influx. A river influx from USA. There's a ring of, there's a cold ring, C-O-R-E, cold ring, a river influx from USA. There's a ring of, there's a cold ring, C-O-R-E, cold ring of warm and cold water. There's a ring of, there's a cold ring, C-O-R-E, cold ring of warm and cold water formed between Gulf Stream and the coast of America. At the coast of America. Warm and cold water formed between Gulf Stream and the coast of America. At the coast of America. Also, right, the presence of warm water stream and the coast of America. At the coast of America. Also, right, the presence of warm water generates warm, moist air, masses. Presence of warm water generates warm, moist air, masses responsible for heavy rainfall along eastern coast of USA. Along eastern coast of USA. Responsible for heavy rainfall along eastern coast of USA. Along eastern coast of USA. First up, next is North Atlantic Drift. North Atlantic Drift.
Which flows?
Now the nature is over, मतलब one part is over. अब दूसरा part कौन सा होगा? North Atlantic Drift का. Why? Because how is nature changing here? The volume would have decreased. Because इतना अगर movement हो रहा है तो कहीं ना कहीं पानी छूटता भी चला जाएगा viscosity friction के कारण volume थोड़ा कम होगा. And westerlies will not be able to drag entire volume towards east. कुछ पानी ही जो है eastward चलेगा. Rest of the water will undergo mixing with these cold currents. So the nature is changing and the cause is also changing. What is the cause of movement here? For westerly impact. Intelligent class. एक ridge है यहाँ पर between Norway या Scotland and Iceland या फिर North Sea and Iceland. Ridge का नाम Wavell Thompson Ridge. You remember that? इसके north में क्या था? Telegraphic plateau. तो ridge समझते हैं क्या होगा? Raised feature. When the water flows through that ridge, it will bifurcate. उस ridge के कारण एक bifurcation होगा. एक north चला जाएगा, Norwegian current, एक North Sea की तरफ आएगा, Irminger current, एक south की तरफ shift होएगा. That will be referred as the Wavell current. You remember that ridge, Wavell Thompson Ridge? It is exactly in the eastern coast. So write down under the influence of westerlies. Under the influence of westerlies, ocean currents are rejuvenated, and capillaries. Ocean currents are rejuvenated and carried towards east. Thompson Wavell Ridge and carried towards east. Thompson Wavell Ridge and carried towards east. Thompson Wavell Ridge. Trifurcation of this current. Thompson Wavell Ridge cause trifurcation of this current as Norwegian current. Cause trifurcation of this current as Norwegian current towards the coast of Norway. Norwegian current, I'm making it towards the coast of Norway. Number 2, Irminger current, towards the coast of Norway. Norwegian current, I'm making it towards the coast of Norway. Number 2, Irminger current, IRMINGER, Irminger current that flows in Norway. Number 2, Irminger current, IRMINGER, Irminger current that flows in North Sea. Number 2, Irminger current, IRMINGER, Irminger current that flows in North Sea. Third, Rennell current, RENNEL, Rennell current near Bay of Biscay. Third, Rennell current, RENNEL, Rennell current near Bay of Biscay. Here's Bay of Biscay between Spain and France. Bay of Biscay. Okay. Next, NAD, short for North Atlantic Drift. North Atlantic Drift is responsible for North Atlantic Drift is responsible for carrying warm water to European coast due to narrowness of North Atlantic Ocean to European coast due to narrowness of North Atlantic Ocean, warm waters circulating along Europe, warm water circulating along Europe, warm waters circulating along Europe, warm water circulating along Europe, moderates climatic conditions, and also maintain ice-free ports. Here, ये तीन मैंने wrap up कर दिया. We have understood this ice-free ports and all that. एक लाइन और लिखो. Renal current from France and Spain enters in Mediterranean Sea due to salinity. From France and Spain enters in Mediterranean Sea due to salinity difference. Why salinity difference? Mediterranean Sea has higher salinity. Here, Q locked here, and it goes from low salinity to higher salinity. Enters in Mediterranean Sea due to salinity difference. So, for your remembrance, put a bracket, right? Mediterranean Sea has higher salinity. It increases weather disturbances. Put a bracket, right? Mediterranean Sea has higher salinity. It increases weather disturbances. Along the Mediterranean coast. It increases weather disturbances along the Mediterranean coast. Done? Next कौन सा करंट है ये? कैलोरी करंट. क्लास है? 6 बजे से? कैलोरी करंट. आज हम आए हैं, है ना? और अगर ये हमारा क्लास होता तो अभी तक हम लड़ भी पड़ते. मेरा फंडामेंटल राइट पढ़ाओ सर. I see you tomorrow. Wait here. Tomorrow we'll continue from here. अब क्लास अटेंड करिए और southern because अभी southern Atlantic Ocean भी था, right? I'm sure. चलिए, I see you tomorrow with discussion on ocean currents and further topics.
देखते हैं अभी क्या. लेक्चर ओवर भाई, हो गया लेक्चर. थैंक यू उदय भाई, आपको भी. उदय भाई का चैनल भी हम सब्सक्राइब करते हैं। थैंक यू उदय भाई, आपको भी। ट्रॉफी कितनी प्यारी है, ट्रॉफी अच्छा है। उदय भाई का चैनल भी हम सब्सक्राइब करते हैं। थैंक यू उदय भाई, आपको भी। हाय हाय भाई, जो भी है हाय। भैया नींद बहुत आती है सुबह, रात जल्दी नींद आ गई। अगर तो सुबह उठते हैं तो सुबह तो ऐसे भी नींद आता है यार। देखो 7 आवर्स या 8 आवर्स अपने अकॉर्डिंग देख लो भाई, कितना देर नींद पूरा होता है। उसके बाद पढ़ो, नहीं तो बीच में 1 घंटा का नैप ले लो। 1 घंटा का नैप भी ले सकते हो। तो मेरा तो 7 आवर्स 8 आवर्स में स्लिप हो जाता है कंप्लीट। और हम वर्कआउट भी करते हैं तो 7 8 आवर्स तो लगते ही है, रिकवरी वगैरह भी होता है। क्योंकि आज का सेशन अभी ओवर हो गया, अभी फिर आएंगे 10 बजे के बाद। आज 10 से लेके शायद 8 बजे तक लाइव रहेंगे। फिर आप लोग वहाँ कोई क्वेश्चन पूछ सकते हैं, अगर मतलब यूपीएससी रिलेटेड या तो फिर वर्कआउट रिलेटेड भी आप पूछ लीजिएगा, कोई नहीं, आंसर हम दे देंगे। तो थैंक यू गाइस, थैंक यू। आई होप कि यू आर ऑल डूइंग वेल, और आगे भी अच्छा ही ऐसा चलते रहेगा। बहुत अच्छा, मतलब एकदम डीप स्टडी। पोमोडोरो 50-10 का था, लेकिन वो एक्चुअली ब्रेक लिया नहीं मैंने सेकेंड टाइम पे, क्योंकि क्लासेस ओवर होने वाला था, 15 मिनट का बचा था, तो फिर क्यों ब्रेक लेते लेक्चर में। थैंक यू, थैंक यू, बाय गाइस, थैंक यू। चलिए अब वर्कआउट करने, फिर 10 बजे मिलते हैं। बाय, 10 बजे रेडी रहना, फिर अगर आपको ऐसे ही देखना है तो चलिए बाय।